The crypto market is going crazy and the altcoin season has officially started. But the big question is, how far can we still go? Hello everyone, Richard here and welcome to a new weekly overview here on AltCryptoTalk. Today, I'll be going over 8 charts to answer a very specific question. Is the correction around the corner? Let's find out together, and of course don't forget to smash that like button if you like such content and leave a like and a comment below. Starting with total market cap. After breaking above its all-time high at 3.7 trillion last week, we have been bullish and altcoins have been surging like there is no tomorrow, right? However, it's currently testing the upper bound of this rising channel, which is lining up with the 4 trillion round number. However, if we zoom out to daily time frame or even higher time frames like weekly, we have been trading within this rising broadening wedge, as you can see in blue, and the upper bound of it would be around the 4.8 trillion or even 5 trillion. So every bearish correction here would be short term and we'll be expecting a bigger impulse moving forward. But of course, you know that nothing goes as a straight line up. If you zoom back to daily time frame, we can see that if we have a correction, this is a very important and strong area, which would be the structure, lower trend line, and even this previous all-time high around 3.5 to 3.7 trillion. So we might be having a correction, which to be confirmed of course on lower time frames. For example, if you zoom into H4 time frame, if you break below these lows at 3.76 trillion, we'll be expecting this correction to start towards this demand structure, as I mentioned previously on daily time frame, intersecting with a lower trend line. That being said, on total market cap, if we check USDT dominance, as we mentioned previously, I always keep an eye on USDT dominance. You can also check USDC dominance, but since USDT has a bigger market cap, you can stick to USDT. Weekly time frame, we've expected this bearish movement towards the 4%, 3.7%. And guess what will happen when price tap this area? We've got multiple rejections from here. So of course it will not ignore it. We can still have a correction before breaking it downward to have the last cycle of this crazy bullish movement, or what we call the super cycle or mega cycle, whatever you want to call it. But of course you can't ignore this very strong support. So expect a sharp bearish correction for crypto, which would be a bullish correction for USDT dominance. Especially if you zoom into daily time frame, this correction would be lining up with this previous structure, as you can see in green, the upper bound of this falling orange channel. However, it's very early to judge because we can still have some room to push towards this area. So what we felt so far from total and USDT dominance alone, only 2 out of 8, which will get a better idea, but what we felt just from these two indicators, if you want to call them, we can still have a little bit room to push lower before we have this big correction, before having this bigger bullish impulse for the crypto market. Of course, I'll be putting the puzzle together as you move forward. So H4 time frame, bearish from a medium term and short term perspective, trading within this falling red channel. Yes, we might have bullish movements which would be bearish for crypto, but it would be still overall bearish, which would be bullish for crypto. However, as I mentioned multiple times, the 4% is a very strong support. The lower bound of it would be 3.75%. Others, which is a very strong indicator. Others, of course, is the altcoins market cap, excluding the top 10 like XRP, Doge, and Ethereum, and so on. So this is a very good indicator. If you remember previously that if this one goes up, it means altcoin season is here. And this is what happened as expected from the previous overviews. If you break above this high, expect a movement till here. And if you break above this high, expect a movement towards the upper bound of the falling channel in red. For the bulls to remain in control and to even take over from a long-term perspective, we need to see a break above this trend line, as you can see in red. In this case, we'll be expecting a macro bullish movement, a big pump for altcoins towards the 11% or even 12%. This is what we are all looking for. This is just the start. Even if like your altcoin, your favorite bag already made 100%, this is just the top of the iceberg. So that being said, we are still overall bearish from a macro long-term perspective, and we are looking for this break. Meanwhile, of course, bearish movement would be possible, which would be BTC dominance gaining strength again, which is our next one. BTC dominance, as expected or as mentioned in the previous overviews in the last couple of weeks. You can check it out if you want. I'll attach it in the description below. We've mentioned that for the altcoin season to start, we need the price to reject the upper bound of this rising orange trend line. You can clearly see it right there. Bullish BTC dominance dropped. Where this is where, if you remember, back in like 2025, around December or the start of 2025, December, January, we had a big run. This is exactly it. We had a big run for altcoins, and then you can see that altcoins dropped while BTC stood strong, even made new all-time highs during the wars and so on. But let's keep it technical, right? Now we can clearly see this movement. We can still have some room to push a little bit lower, which is USDT, have some room to push lower, even total, have some room to push higher towards the 4 trillion. This is what I'm expecting now, a continuation, a bullish continuation for crypto before something happens, something fundamental maybe. And then we expect this sharp correction before we have another run. This is what we are looking for the big altcoin season to start, the macro trend. We need a break below this rising channel, because for now this is just a correction. You can see like a sample of what you expect when this channel broke, because we broke it to the downside. Exactly, we broke these lows. We pushed lower, but we are currently around the lower band right there. So expect BTC dominance to gain strength again, to push a little bit higher before we break it to the downside. Next, I'll be going over 4 tokens, BTC, ETH, XRP, and you will see also BNB, which is surprisingly a very good indicator that the altcoin season is here, because when people are, like if you want, paying gas fees through BNB, because Binance is the biggest exchange. So you get the feeling that, okay, BNB is going up, means more interaction within the ecosystems of the BNB chain. Binance as a whole exchange, the wallet of Binance, it's getting more traction. It means that money flowing, liquidity, and so on. So this is why I keep an eye on BNB, which is already, as you will see, approaching the all-time high. So I always have it on my list to get a feeling about the overall trend for the crypto market. Anyway, BTC, we have been pushing higher. We might have a correction, but we are overall bullish, and we will be overall bullish unless we break below the 110. 110 is a very strong area. First, it is the previous all-time highs. Structure, as you can see, previous weekly highs. If you break it downward, we'll be expecting a shift in momentum. More pain, if you want to call it, but for now every bearish movement would be a very good area to be looking for trend following longs, even though we are currently bearish, as you clearly see from here, but it is just a correction, just like the previous ones. Once we break this channel, the falling channel to the upside, we'll be expecting one more big bullish movement towards the 140k, which is lining up with the upper band of this rising channel, as you can see in orange. This is a very strong resistance, or a very strong magnet pushing the price towards it. So long story short, we remain bullish even if we break below the 115k downward. This is a very strong area to look for trend following longs. ETH. As you clearly see, while BTC is pushing lower as a bearish correction, ETH is still standing strong, is breaking above all resistance. We've previously broke below the 3.1k resistance, and then after only 1 week, a couple of days, we broke above the 3.5k resistance zone. A very strong indicator that, okay, BTC is dropping, dominance of BTC is dropping while altcoins are surging, and the biggest one, or the mother of altcoins, is clearly ETH. This is a very good indicator that, okay, now the money or the profits are flowing from BTC to ETH, layer 1, and then we'll be seeing the money flowing, or the profits, towards the layer 2, layer 3, and so on. This is how the crypto market operates. Big investors don't just invest in small market cap ones and small altcoins, new projects. They will take profit from bigger, like if you want, safer investments. If you compare it to the different assets, BTC, then ETH, starting with layer 1, and then the other layer 1s, and then layer 2s, and so on. So let's stick to the technicals again, but it's also good to know the fundamentals on why this is happening. ETH is approaching the upper bound of this big range. If you check it out on weekly time frame, you can clearly see that this is a very strong resistance zone around the 4K round number. If you break it upward, we'll be expecting a new all-time high, 5K, or even I'm expecting 10K at the end of this cycle. Let's get back to daily time frame. As long as we are above 3.5K, this is our support, and we'll be expecting a movement towards the 4K. Of course, we can still retest this area. It would still be a correction, but I'm expecting further bullish movement. Next, we've got BNB. As mentioned previously, it's approaching the previous all-time high. Once we break it upward, I'll be expecting a parabolic movement towards the 1K. Yes, you heard it right. It would be the first time that BNB reaches this, if you want, round number, 4 digit. So it would be shifting from 3 digits to 4 digits. I'll be expecting this to be happening in the next couple of months or even earlier. Daily time frame around the upper bound of it, acting as an overbought zone. So we'll be expecting some sort of correction. It might be a small one, it might be a bigger one towards this demand, the previous round number 700, lower band of this rising orange channel. But if you break above this 800 mark, we'll be expecting a parabolic movement upward. For the best to take over and start the correction movement, we need a break up below the previous low. For example, if you break below the 750, we'll be expecting a bearish correction. But for now, we are very bullish. The bulls are in full control. Last but not least, XRP. XRP would be leading the US tokens, or tokens based in the US, or at least the teams of these tokens are based in the US. We broke above the all-time high, also a very strong indicator that money is flowing into US tokens. You can also see XLM surged by over 110%, HBAR is going crazy, ADA is going crazy, and so on. But I'll stick to XRP to keep this video short and to get an idea about US tokens. 3.4 is now our support. As long as it holds, we'll be expecting further upside. Price discovery phase, as we call it. If you break below the 3.4, or to be exact 3.35 downward, we'll be expecting a correction, a small one towards the 3 round number. But this is a very good indicator so far. Broke the all-time high, expecting further upside. So long story short, we can still have some room to go up. Total approaching the 4 trillion, USDT dominance approaching the 4%, 3.75% even. BTC is still bullish. ETH is going crazy, approaching the 4K. So there is still some room, but when this happens, when total market cap approaches 4 trillion, ETH approaches 4K, expect some sort of, I will not call it a sharp correction, I'll not call it a shift in trend, I'll just call it a break, okay? It might be a break, not a breakout, it's just a break. It might be a consolidation, it might be a little bit falling, but expect this. So it's always wise to take profit, especially as price approaches such big zones. That's it for today. Let me know in the comments if you like the logic, and of course feel free to request any altcoin in the comment section below, and I'll see you hopefully on the next one.